It is clear that to Palpatine Darth Sidious, Anakin Skywalker was the prize of the Clone Wars, besides of course the galaxy itself and the rise of a brand new Imperial regime with Palpatine at the forefront. It is of course the goal of the Sith, as dictated and mandated by the Rule of Two, that the apprentice should always grow to be more powerful than the master, with Anakin Skywalker being the only individual at the time capable of growing past the might of Darth Sidious, the avatar of the Sith. To the viewers of Star Wars lore, it's quite obvious that Anakin Skywalker's turn to the dark side is one of the major goals of Palpatine, and in many ways, it was Anakin Skywalker's turn that cemented the end of the Clone Wars and the rise of the Empire, in the climactic moment when Palpatine knew that his new Imperial regime was ready to rise to full prominence, revealing his grand plan to the Jedi when it was far too late. But this raises a major question. Was Grandmaster Yoda actually aware that Sidious wanted to turn Anakin Skywalker to the dark side before this ultimately culminated in Revenge of the Sith? Was Palpatine aware that Sidious always had his eyes on the young Skywalker and that he wanted him for his own? Well, today, acolytes and students of the Force, we will answer that very question and reveal that Yoda did actually know that Darth Sidious, who he was unaware was actually Palpatine, did actually want to corrupt Anakin Skywalker, and why Yoda was ultimately unable to do anything about it, or really refused to do anything about it. Let us begin. First though, according to our analytics, a lot of the ships that cross by our system have not actually landed in our docking bay on our battle station. So if you've been enjoying the Star Wars daily lore, reach out with the Force and force crush that subscribe button. Now, let us begin. In the events just before the Battle of Coruscant and the opening of Revenge of the Sith, Yoda makes one last-ditch effort to look into the Force and try to sense who Darth Sidious truly is. However, again, he senses that the Force has been clouded. The Force itself was clouded before the events of the Phantom Menace, when Darth Sidious and Darth Plagueis in conjunction reached out and poured all of their contempt and malice into the Force itself, effectively drowning out the light side and dimming their vision, making it extremely hard for the Jedi to sense the future and the machinations of the dark side. Yoda at this time is still perplexed as to why the Force has been clouded for the entirety of the Clone Wars and several years now, as Yoda initially believed that it would fade and that the Jedi would regain their balance and sense through the Force. Yoda did sense something strange, however, as he sensed that the end of the war was very near, even though, surprisingly, he was unable to sense that both General Grievous and his own former apprentice in Dooku were now entering the atmosphere of Coruscant. With Yoda reaching out in this crucial moment, he did actually sense something else that perplexed him though. He sensed that there was something surrounding Anakin Skywalker that did not make complete sense to him, and Yoda had known, as confirmed by the novel The Labyrinth of Evil, that Darth Sidious was well aware of Anakin and his status as the Chosen One. However, he didn't truly believe that Anakin would embrace the Sith like he did, even though years earlier, during the midst of the Clone Wars, Yoda did sense that Sidious wanted Anakin for his own. Yoda believed that the growth of the dark side was so strong that it was causing the Force to feel dark and clouded, and the dark side growing ever stronger is what kept the light side so cloudy, as of course the Jedi did not know that the Sith had returned until after the events of the Phantom Menace with Maul, and still, there was another Sith Lord out there beyond Maul and beyond Dooku that the Jedi had failed to locate and identify. Yoda, however, held hope that because the dark side was so clouded was also the emergence of the Chosen One in Anakin, and that it was because the dark side had become so prominent and yet at the same time still mysterious and hidden that Anakin had arrived to bring balance to the Force, which is something that Yoda speculated may be the case in the emergence of Anakin and the Jedi finding him. So, in very layman's terms, Yoda did actually hold hope that Anakin Skywalker was indeed the Chosen One, and that with Anakin on their team, he believed that they would eventually bring balance to the Force and destroy the Sith. But of course, this would not occur as Yoda foresaw. Yoda was not completely sold on the Chosen One prophecy, unlike Qui-Gon Jinn though, which is why he didn't obsess and fascinate over the idea of Anakin, unlike Sidious. What Yoda did sense though, that as the war neared its end, the eyes of the Sith closed closer and peered closer at Anakin the Chosen One, which is something that worried the Grandmaster a great deal. Yoda did not know who Sidious was at the time, of course, but he did fear his power a great deal. Specifically though, because of the second apprentice that Darth Sidious chose in Dooku. Yoda was full aware how powerful Dooku had become, nearly rivaling the power of the Grandmaster himself. So the idea that Dooku would ever pledge allegiance to somebody far more powerful than himself worried Yoda a great deal. Yoda knew that Sidious knew of the Chosen One prophecy, but he also believed that Sidious wanted to kill Anakin as a first resort want not to turn him, and that the Sith hoping that they could turn Anakin was wishful thinking. This is where Yoda is incorrect, as it is Palpatine's first goal to turn Anakin, and he does not want to kill him whatsoever. So in this moment, Yoda essentially guessed wrong. To Yoda, it only made sense that logically, Sidious would want the boy destined to destroy the Sith eliminated by the end of the Clone Wars. Yoda did not know that Anakin would be a great prize for the Sith as he was held up to be, as Anakin was one of the only people in the galaxy more powerful than Dooku, and the Sith cannot resist this power. This of course meant that Sidious would in his very soul desire Anakin Skywalker as an apprentice to carry on the lineage of the Sith, and he was ready to cast Dooku aside, something that Yoda and Dooku himself did not foresee. Yoda did know, however, that one of two things would occur by the end of the Clone Wars. Either Anakin would be swayed to the dark side, or Sidious would make an attempt on Anakin's life. However, Yoda simply did not have the time to look into this any further, as Dooku and General Grievous entered the atmosphere of Coruscant. Dooku believed that the fate of the galaxy itself and the Clone Wars was far more important than the fate of the Jedi or the Sith, and he believed that the Republic had to win the Clone Wars before he would become more concerned with Anakin and his ultimate fate. In a sense, Yoda put the fate of Anakin Skywalker on the back burner before the war was concluded, as Yoda was far more focused on winning the war than the status of the Chosen One. This was of course another crucial mistake made by Yoda. Yoda was actually completely right, and Sidious indeed was obsessed and was targeting Anakin Skywalker. However, where Yoda had the biggest issue is that he didn't realize that the Sith were fascinated with Anakin far earlier than Yoda had anticipated. Yoda did not anticipate that the Sith had their eyes on Anakin from moments after the events of the Phantom Menace, and even before he was discovered by the Jedi on Tatooine, as Sidious and Darth Plagueis had indeed sensed that the Force was working to stop them. However, of course, Sidious wanted to make this work in his own favor. The Jedi did not believe, though, that the Sith had had their eyes on Anakin far before even the Jedi had, and that it was never Palpatine's goal to outright kill Anakin, but that he always intended to turn him as a first resort. Yoda believed that the Sith had become fascinated with Anakin Skywalker during the events of the Clone Wars, but of course, he was utterly and completely wrong, as Sidious had planted the seeds to turn Anakin the second that he was discovered. From the death of Qui-Gon Jinn and eliminating that father figure, with Palpatine becoming a prominent father figure to Anakin directly. So to answer the question, my friends and acolytes, yes, Yoda did know that the Sith wanted to turn Anakin Skywalker to the dark side as the Clone Wars progressed. However, he basically had more faith in Anakin and didn't actually realize that the Sith had intended to turn him far earlier, and that their plans were already set in motion. He was focused on the war, while the Sith were focused on Anakin. So I hope that this answers the question as posed in the beginning of the video. But now, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And what are your thoughts on why Yoda actually knew that they had the goal of turning Anakin, and yet he was unable to stop the Sith because he realized too late? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and I will hopefully see you in the next video.